Hey, boss, Coach Patrick here from Endurance Nation. Just saw Ironman Chattanooga released a new bike course for 2024. Looks like Georgia has not released the permit, and so will not be going down to Chickamauga or anything else. And the bumpy roads and terrain that are there. But we trade that terrain for highway time, a la Ironman Texas, but with a little more elevation than Ironman Texas. Now, when I first ran this file, full transparency, it gave me ridiculous elevations. I had to go back and normalize it. Ran it through both two processors, GPS Visualizer and also Strava to see. Strava didn't knock it down enough, so I went with the GPS Visualizer version. The net is I'm about to show you is still a rolling course, still quite a bit of elevation gain for an Ironman bike course. Certainly more than you would find in Ironman Texas, but I think it's going to be okay. So let's head on over and take a look at it here. I'll show my screen. All right. There we go. Here we go. So, okay, let's dive right in. This is the overall course. Basically, you're going to climb out. I'll zoom in a little bit more. You're going to climb out of down the river here, do a loop, go the reverse on an off ramp. You go on the off ramp, cut over, and then you're going to do three out backs. So you can follow the yellow dot. We'll go all the way up here. We'll flip it back, turn around right here by Signal Mountain. Do it again. Come back, do it again, and then come all the way back in. So three loop bike course. So three loop bike course is very similar to what they've done in Arizona. I'll talk a little bit more about the complexities, but first let's dive in with a little more detail here, what we see. So we already know that Chattanooga has a very fast swim. There's going to be a lot of people out of the water early, and most people out of the water much earlier than normal. So in a non-fast swim like Ironman Arizona, you might have until 2 hours into the swim time to not worry about the last people coming off of the water. Here in Chattanooga, that's like accelerated by like 40 minutes because of the speed of the water. And now, of course, transition times being what it is. But what that essentially means is that the majority of people will be on the course earlier. So for the faster bikers, faster age groupers, you're going to have that mix up. And in fact, you're going to have the same mix up with the pros. So it's going to be very hard to separate these races based on how things are going to roll out, right? So you'll come out of the water, you'll do this turn up on Riverfront Parkway, come up and then go up the off ramp right here. So most people are familiar with this road. Difference being you're going to bang this left here and come right up. And we'll even, drop in the satellite here. So you can zoom in and see, super friendly, quiet roads, basically easy admin, just a left and a left. So the nice part about that is logistically, you'll be able to move really well through this section, be pretty fluid. And this on-ramp thing also very straightforward. So from a logistical perspective on your bike, no longer really being stressed out about those early miles, the bumps, the train tracks, etc. All that's gone. You're replacing it with this road. Now, you're basically going to cut over. There's an actual like place up here to kind of cut over where the barrier goes down. I drew as best a line as I could, but it got normalized out in the data file. So what happens here is you roll all the way out to the end, right? You're going to go through this whole course here on the highway. You're going to go almost out to the water here and then turn around again. The barrier drop here, right when you can turn around again. And the highway, just for perspective, it's a highway, straight up, like big wide shoulders, etc. My guess is you'll probably stay on the same side for mapping purposes. I just switched it over so that it might allow me to do it faster. But my guess is it'll be a lot like Tremblant, where you spend most of the time on the same side of the highway. And so what that means is you're going to have reflective strips on the road and here, so it's something to be really mindful of. And then same on the other side, the return trip, the yellow line trip, not super friendly for riding on, and generally less well maintained than this shoulder. So both shoulders are bad, but this return trip I've always found to be a little sketchier. You will notice, however, if you notice the wear pattern on the roads, that there'll be places where you'll be smoother and less rolling resistant. And you definitely want to maximize your time sort of in those car track areas to be safe. Okay. But you'll see here from the position, hey, we're climbing, friends. This isn't a flat course. And it'll be a lot like Tremblant, which is actually the highway section is much harder than people think. Sure, riding back in and out of the resort is tough, but this highway section actually has a fair amount of climbing in it. So what you're going to find here is a lot of rollers. And depending on where you are, you'll be able to maintain your speed. When you've got these U-turns, you've got a U-turn here at 21. You've got a U-turn here again at 38. So you basically got 6 U-turns. Every time you U-turn, you're almost at a dead stop. You got to build up that speed again. Great opportunity to stretch your back, stretch your legs, etc. And work your way up to speed. Don't worry about accelerating fast back to speed. It's going to be tempting, but you've got a run to do. Chattanooga is going to be tough anyway, so we have to be really mindful of that. So really be smart about how you pace yourself across the course of this section, because it would be easy for the bike course to get away from you. I mentioned earlier about the crowds, and that's what's really going to be challenging here. How they're going to space the aid stations out is not clear to me yet. But also, as I mentioned, when you have 2,000 plus riders on just this one stretch of road, the possibility for people crossing over, or for faster athletes going to slower athletes, can be a real problem. In fact, that was one of my biggest problems. I've crashed like that before at Ironman Hawaii, and then also almost crashed like that at Ironman Arizona. Where starting my second lap, there were people who are really just kind of starting, they just finished their first lap. And these are people who are like, hey, it's gonna be a long day out here. Meanwhile, I'm trying to like lead my age group or push hard. I've got my head down trying to stay aero. And there's people in front of me. I was just riding with people who were doing like 25 miles an hour. And now I'm riding with people who are doing 12. And so you got 25 miles an hour people going with 12-mile-an-hour people, and that can get really sketchy. So you're going to have to really be mindful of staying to the right, watching the passing, and being really safe, because the speed is different on these roads where athletes will be lulled into a sense of complacency of where they are going to be. Also, most importantly, keep the odometer on your dial so you don't lose your mind and you know exactly when it's time for you to get off that bike and to turn back in. It's very easy for you to kind of get confused. Again, this terrain map kind of looks a little crazy, but it is going to be rolling. So what does it mean to ride on a rolling course here, when you're trying to figure out what it means relative to your speed and on the bike? So just real quickly, I'll just give you a sense. Um, so flat riding, downhill riding, free time in an Ironman. Uphill riding is costly time. And when we're normally riding uphill, people will, in a bike race, accelerate, work hard, try and gain separation. Inside of an Ironman, instead of doing that, we're focused on having a great run. So we don't push too hard on the bike. We're smart about it. We use our gears, we maintain our momentum on the downhill, and we try and carry that into the uphill as far as we can, get as many free pedal strokes as we can before the gravity kicks in and starts to ease you out. What you want to avoid on a course like this is pushing too much of a big gear, getting lulled into, if you like riding at like 82 RPMs, thinking that if I'm at 78 or 76, like 2 or 3 minutes is not that bad. That's actually the worst. You just burn through matches like that and you won't even realize it, because you'll be so focused on maintaining your speed and getting back up to speed. You're also not going to have a sense of how hard you're working because your environment will be different. It's a lot easier when you're seeing mailboxes going by you, telephone poles, etc. It's very easy to kind of get that sense. When you're on a highway, you're going to really lose sense of speed relatively because you're in a different environment. So really having the numbers and make sure your bike computer is all compliant, so you've got the numbers that you need. I would definitely have the auto lap function on. I recommend 5 miles. Some people do 3. That'll help keep you on track, right? And then again, remember, when you come back out loud and you say, literally have to say to yourself out loud, that's lap 1, and then you come back to that's lap 2, and then on the lap 3, you can say, this is lap 3. Like it really helps to say it out loud because you will lose your mind, especially as you start working harder, heat picks up, no shade out there whatsoever. There's wind, you're going to feel it out there. And then also low calories, right? You're just going to in, you're going to lose IQ, and you'll be in a tough spot. Overall, I believe this is a safer bike course relative to the old course. It's significantly less fun, but it will be much, much faster. Expect to see massive personal bests on this course relative to the old course. Although people will complain about it because it's just not a great place to ride. It's a solution, but in terms of like racing and being outside, the majority of racers these days are expecting diverse and unique courses. And this is certainly high on the unique side, but not on the diverse side. I'll put the link to the file inside my video. Just a reminder on Endurance Nation, we have tons of race videos like this for all of the Ironman courses, also for bike courses as well. If you're doing things like Steamboat or Leadville, we work with athletes and we help them primarily with race execution and use that information through our 4 key framework to build seasons, training plans, and resources that make you smart, positioning you well through decision making to have a fantastic race. You can check us out at endurancestation.us. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Hope you enjoyed the video.